Hello again. Let's begin with politics this afternoon because the NPP General Secretary, Gertrude Torkornoo, has warned that Ghana's democratic structures are under growing pressure under President Mahama. He accused the NDC government of repeatedly interfering in legal processes to shield party members facing embezzlement charges, describing it as part of a wider pattern of political manipulation. Mr. Torkornoo said the government's efforts to consolidate control over state institutions, particularly the judiciary, are double or deeply troubling. Well, he argued that the removal of the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo has weakened judicial independence and left judges hesitant to apply the law without fear or favor. And according to him, some recent judicial decisions resemble the behavior of authoritarian regimes, a trend he believes undermines public confidence and threatens the stability of Ghana's democratic system. Listen to him.
No, that the people of Ghana gave the NDC an overwhelming mandate in both presidential and parliamentary elections on December 7, 2024. And as a party, we respect that decision. This overwhelming mandate comes with huge expectations from the Ghanaian people, who are rightly so, expecting the NDC to tackle the issues of unemployment with their formula 133 as they promised during their campaign. The people of Ghana are expecting the NDC to tackle the issues of Galamsey, which is now worsening under their watch, posing an existential threat of our very survival. Mr. Chairman, nearly a year into their tenure, none of these have materialized. Instead, we have witnessed escalating abuse of incumbency and state-sponsored intimidation of political opponents and the media. We have seen a disturbing pattern of filing nolli prosequi to free their members who were standing trial for allegedly embezzling huge sums of money from the state. We have seen attempts to capture state institutions, including the judiciary, and efforts to usurp parliamentary seats we have won or they have legitimately lost. Unfortunately, the judiciary, which is supposed to be the last vanguard of rule of law, has suddenly been captured by the executive, particularly after the unlawful removal of the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Araba Torkornoo. Today in Ghana, judges fear to dispense justice according to the law, because they fear they will also suffer the same fate as Justice Torkornoo. Shockingly, some judges now invoke the words of dictators such as Idi Amin, with the famous pronouncement, "You may have freedom of speech, but freedom after speech cannot be guaranteed."
Well, the party also relaunched its amended constitution, and the secretary, Justin Kodia-Frimpong, said many of the issues that contributed to the NPP's 2024 election defeat have been addressed in the revised document.
One of our shortfalls or struggles, even from our forefathers when UGCC was formed, had always been on how our tradition been able to deal with propaganda and lies from our opponents. At least, I'm proud to say that this new constitutional amendment, we have painstakingly looked at how our communication has been run in the past, even from the time of UGCC to date. And we have made reforms to make sure that we address issues of communication and prevent our opponents from always going with propaganda against our party. Mr. Chairman, I'm also happy that our party never again will we take security for granted. And indeed, with what happened in December 2024, the party going forward will forever take our security and intelligence as a very serious tool in our body politics. Mr. Chairman, indeed, we have a great tradition. Our problem has been on how to pass our tradition from one generation to the other. and how to recall the struggles of our forefathers, document it so that the current generation, future generation will be proud and learn our history.
Well, let's get more on this and bring in the party's chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Committee, Frank Davis. We'll also get reactions to the MPP's claims from the Deputy General Secretary of the governing NDC, Mustapha Gbande, who has also joined the conversation. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Let me begin with you, Mr. Frank Davis. We know several amendments were approved at your recent Congress. Which of those key changes have now been incorporated into the newly outdoored legal document?
Cherished viewers and listeners. Yeah, of course. I mean, on top of my head, the very significant additions or amendments to the Constitution has large.
I'm struggling to hear you. If you can kindly speak up for me.
I'm saying that there are a lot of amendments, but the most significant has to do with progress limited function of the electoral, which determines election of the constituency, regional electoral area, and polling station officers in the party, culminating in the election of our presidential flag bearer. So the base has been expanded so that there is enough, admittedly, grassroots participation. There are amendments are there for see. We have launched institutions and it is now up for sale. So we can all get interested with amendments.
And with the newly expanded electoral college, who and who are now qualified to be delegates, if you can help us?
Oh, we have expanded the base from the polling station level all the way to the national level. We have added former constituency polling station executives, former regional executives, former national officers across the length and breadth of the whole of our party organizational structure, including the national branch, council of elders, former chiefs, former ministers, former ministers, former parliamentarians. I mean, it's an expanded fabric addition to the electoral yes.
Your General Secretary did indicate that they considered almost all the issues that contributed to your humiliating defeat in the 2024 elections and addressed those issues in the newly amended Constitution. Now, apart from expanding the Electoral College, which other key amendments did you make to your newly outdoored Constitution?
Did you have to say humiliating rather than say defeat? Did you have to add humiliating? We have tackled the Constitution as a whole. We have seen every part which we think document. We have set in place certain new directives. These are not matters I want to put in the public domain, as it were. And I'm saying the Constitution has been launched early this afternoon, and it is there for all and sundry. I would urge you to procure a copy.
And which of the recommendations captured those which were proffered by Professor Michael Quaid during his report?
Professor Michael Quaid's report has to do with a collation of the views of principal organs in the party and mainly the grassroots supporters who, of course, add up to anonymous during the general election. There was a collation of all the views which, as it were, led to borrow your full language relating to It was through that the amended proposal, and that was sent into the amended. So it's a holistic.
Right. Mr. Frank Davis, I'll come back to you. Kindly hold on for me. But let me now bring in the Deputy General Secretary of the governing NDC, Mustapha Gbande. Mr. Gbande, grateful for your time this afternoon. Of course, this afternoon was all about the launch of the MPP's newly amended constitution, but they took the opportunity to throw a few jabs at this ruling government, which you serve as Deputy General Secretary. Amongst them, though, is the party's General Secretary, Gertrude Torkornoo, accusing the NDC government of weaponizing state institutions, primarily the judiciary. Is that the case?
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to my senior, Mr. Frank Davis. Honestly, I believe that one key thing the MPP have done in the last 9 months after their defeat was to amend their constitution, which is a process of strengthening a political party. I mean, this is done by all political parties. But you see, unfortunately, because their voice have been so low, they've sunk so low in their own governance, they must necessarily make some comments. But we are not going to delve into that. I've reviewed the comments of my senior and my boss, the General Secretary of the MPP. His commentary is ravaged with insincerity, unfounded, and for me, it doesn't constitute the priority of the people of Ghana as yet. If the MPP is minded to go into some honest, sober, solitude reflection of what they have done in the last 8 years, my boss, Justin Kudia, will come to only one conclusion, that the MPP, the government of President Akufo-Addo, have not been kind to themselves and the people of Ghana. And so I believe that the issues speak for themselves. If the people of Ghana, for any reason, have a problem with the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, their voices will be heard. They will speak to the media. The whole world will get to know. As I speak to you, the priority of every Ghanaian is how to nurse themselves out of the wounds created and inflicted on them in the last 8 years of President Akufo-Addo. I have confidence in the judiciary today. I have confidence in the judges manning the institution of the judiciary, dispensing justice. And I can say that the removal of Justice Torkornoo is a huge relief and a cure to the dwindling confidence that the people of Ghana repose in the judiciary. We can speak to the issues of inefficiency, incompetent handling of the judiciary, lack of moral fortitude and integrity. We can speak to that, but we are not going to do that because we have closed that chapter. There is a new head of the judiciary who leads an independent institution. We can no longer say that a judge is NDC or MPP because clearly we have a judge, JCS NS Gau, who was even, a parliamentary candidate. Today he's a judge, dispensing justice independent of his political views. Judicial institutions have been left to do their work. The last person you can accuse to have been interfering in institution of the judiciary is President Mahama and his government. At least we can say that Justice Torkornoo was one of the lawyers that defended President Akufo-Addo in 2012 in his election petition. So to say my senior brother Frank Davis today, who is leading the legal reforms of the MPP, he is a political lawyer because he is dealing with the administration of the political party. Same can be said of Justice Torkornoo, who have represented President Akufo-Addo in his proprietary quest to get power as president. He's made her a chief justice, and we thought that she would dispense her duties, creditably. She hasn't been able to do that. We all know that this was a chief justice who awarded contracts to her daughters. We all know, it's in the public knowledge, that even the minority leader of the MPP, who is all over the place pontificating, is a subcontractor in the judiciary, which is why he is doing what he's doing. And so, please, he should spare us. I've interrogated the commentaries he's made, and I don't think that we have to lift it beyond where it is, because it doesn't bring anything to the conversation of the problems facing the people of Ghana. It is clearly that the MPP have launched a constitution, so they must make some noise for us to know. But I will expect seniors who are very respected, like my brother Frank Davis, to advise the MPP to sign off into sober reflection, sincere reflection of what they have done to the people of Ghana, willingly or unwillingly, deliberate or indeliberate, so that they come to a conclusion that there is a need to humble themselves. For them, their prayer now is that, your political capital should dwindle down so that we have the hope of coming back to power. I don't think it is happening soon. Look, Ghanaians are only praying, supporting the government of President Mahama to succeed, because that is the only hope. That is the only hope for this country. And we are delivering on that mandate. His Excellency, the President, and his appointees continue to work. They will do that. Ghanaians have confidence in the judiciary as much as I have. And I don't think that the MPP can be able to point anything. Under their reign of 8 years, pregnant judges were attacked in their courts. Today, we can't say same. Under the MPP, journalists were beaten and killed without any forthright investigation. We know that. And so what are they talking about? So let's disregard the comment coming from my boss at the other side for lack of credibility and importance, because he hasn't stated anything that you yourself can pinpoint amount to the reality. It's politics as usual, hot air.
Mustapha, and he cited one example where he says that judges are now living in fear and in some instances under pressure. And he said that the ruling in the Gbande constituency parliamentary seat is testament to that, according to him. When the case was sent to court by a parliamentary candidate, the NDC's candidate in Gbande, they wanted the judge to look into just 41 of the polling stations. He ended up looking into 152, all the polling stations, and calling for a rerun. These are examples that he cites that says that there's more pressure on the judges to do things in favor of the ruling government. Don't you think he has a case?
Well, if the General Secretary of the MPP truly believes that because they are not in power, all the judges are now NDC, we will pray that the judges will continue to do the bidding of the people of Ghana in dispensing justice. We will pray. But I believe that the legal processes are so clear that if you don't agree with a judge, you head to court. You remember when I was talking about, the electoral commissioner, early part of this year, Justin Kodia joined that conversation and said we should remove the electoral commissioner because he himself does not have confidence in the electoral commissioner in terms of her competence. Today, they have changed that position. Now, if the judges are complaining, is Justin Kodia the secretariat where they lodge complaints? Is that what you want us to believe? How many judges have walked to his office to tell them that they are under some pressure to give judgments, such that a general secretary will come and make these kind of statements? It's of no basis. And Senior Frank Davis will tell you that if he had gotten the opportunity to advise his general secretary before he was speaking, such a comment would not have been made of our judges. The remedy that was sought in court was to review the declaration that was made in the Gbande election. The judge looked at it and gave a judgment. If you disagree, there is a window for you to appeal the decision.
Mustapha, don't go yet. Mustapha, don't go yet. I'll come back to you. Hold on for me. Let me bring back Frank Davis. He's been listening in the conversation, and he being a lawyer also, I'm sure he'll be interested in this particular subject that we're discussing. Mr. Frank Davis, you were at the launch where your General Secretary made these remarks, but the Deputy General Secretary of your opponent, that is the NDC, is rubbishing and essentially dismissing all these claims that were made. Is that something that you want to disagree with him?
I would hope that you give me the same amount of time you have given him to say all that he has. I plead with you.
I will.
Rather you give me enough time to respond to all he has said.
I will.
Now, Mustapha, I don't know, correct me. I'm sure you're a trained lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC speaking to you in that capacity.
When you're referring to me as senior, I thought you were one. But I mean senior
out of respect,
which is fine. Mustapha, don't let us argue about this, please. Let us do the substantive matter. In the same way that he sought to advise me to have had a word with my general secretary, I am also advising him as a senior colleague in politics that we should all talk with humility, modesty, sobriety, as he wants others to do. The sheer exhibition of hubris, needless hubris, will do us no good. And when we are pontificating, we should just look at ourselves in the mirror and listen to what we have said before. He now, Mustapha Gbande, he can tell us to believe in the impartiality of the judiciary. I think that is great. Either two. What have they not about judges in this country? Now they respect the judiciary. I'm amazed. This intellectual dishonesty, talking it. That is why people don't respect politicians in this country. But he should listen to the kinds of things he has said about the judiciary. The kinds of things, the kind of harsh commentary they have for the judiciary. At a point in time, they refer to the Supreme Court as unanimous something. You see, I don't want to go on and on these matters. But you see, when we are speaking, when we are engaging and talking to Ghanaians, we should know that Ghanaians are not silly people. And we should talk to them with respect. I am a baby, a friend, and a walking stick of the judiciary. So I will not condemn. No point in time would I condemn the judiciary. Anytime I talk about the judiciary, if you listen to my commentary, I say it in utmost good faith. Because I'm a trained lawyer. All right? The kinds of things he was saying, can he himself look himself in the face and justify all that he has said? And you see, when you don't know something, don't say it, Mustapha. At what point in time did Gertrude Torkornoo ask for another? Where? You see, people come on radio and spew all kinds of falsehoods to get away with it. You have come on radio talking to guys. You said what Gertrude Torkornoo defended Nanazo in which election petition? In which election petition, Mustapha Gbande? You don't come on radio and say things you don't know. Please, I'm advising you. We all started politics at the day. So please, sober yourself and be humble. What you have said is a blatant false. Justice Torkornoo has never defended Nanazo anywhere, both in the private life or in the public life as a lawyer or a judge. So what are you talking about? You just do these things to condemn the person. You have removed her from office. Are you not happy about that? Do you want to condemn her the more? No, let us all get it right. At least, the ECOWAS court has ruled on the first leg of the case before them that her case raises premier first-rate evidence of human rights abuse. That should be of concern to Mustapha Gbande. That should be of concern to you, Mustapha, that the ECOWAS court has ruled the first leg that the petition or the case before them raises a grave matter of human rights abuse. You are not concerned about that. Your objection to the jurisdiction of the ECOWAS court has been thrown away. So the matter is not before the ECOWAS court. I don't want to go into those ones because I'm a lawyer. I will not comment. It is captivity. But don't let us treat ourselves this way. The Chief Justice, you have succeeded in removing him. Fine. There is a new Chief Justice. He should carry on his duties as Chief Justice. I'm not going to go into those matters. all right? But don't malign people when you have no evidence of whatever. And I believe that in all candor and in fairness to yourself, you withdraw that statement you made about Justice Torkornoo. If you are a man of honor. Because Justice Torkornoo has not represented Nana Addo in any election petition. In the 2013 election petition, Justice Torkornoo was a justice of the Superior Court of Justice. How could she be in Nana Addo's team? In the 2020 election, how could she have been there? And you come and bandy her about like that? I think you should apologize. All Ghanaians for what you have just done.
I still have
leave the woman alone. Leave her alone and let her rest. Whether she awarded contract her daughter about Afenyo Martin, it is not what we are discussing, Mustapha Gbande. What the General Secretary said, I was there, I listened in carefully. What the General Secretary said has nothing to do with what you have been running around with. Every opportunity you want to use it to do the kinds of things you do, let us stick to the script and answer questions as they come, and not run around the town and put ourselves in the ditch you have put yourself in. I think you should apologize to Justice Torkornoo. I think so.
Okay, Mr. Frank Davis, don't go yet. Let me bring back Mustapha Gbande, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the governing NDC. Mustapha, I want to give you the opportunity to respond to Mr. Frank Davis. You earlier mentioned that the former Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo was a political lawyer, in your own words, saying that he's represented Nana Akufo-Addo before. It's been disputed by Frank Davis. He's giving you the chance to prove yourself. Do you have any evidence that he ever represented former President Akufo-Addo?
Well, I think that in fairness, this is the first time I'm hearing that he didn't know about that. But Paul Adumochiri publicly reviewed her profile and mentioned that she was one of the lawyers that defended President Akufo-Addo in the 2012 petition. My brother Frank Davis was... No, please. You were in this country. So if you needed somebody to discount that fact, you were in this country, you could have asked Paul Adumochiri to discount that fact. Beyond that, you have not... You said you wanted to respond to all the substantive issues. Now you are preaching morals. I am telling you that there is a perception of trustworthiness for our judiciary. Can you say, as a lawyer, that you do not trust the judiciary today as we speak? You cannot say that because Ghanaians have gained confidence in the judiciary. Your General Secretary stood in public to say that judges are afraid of giving judgments in this country. That is why the Gbande election, MPP lost, and that is why instead of 125 polling stations, a judge went further. But you and I know that if you so believe that a judge in his or her work, if he has omitted some issues that a judge ought to look at, you go to the appeals court. Do you go and organize a constitutional review conference of persons who have rigged this nation of its credibility and integrity and accuse the judiciary the way you did? You have not responded to anything.
Mr. Gbande, they have sent the case to the Supreme Court now.
Man to the issues. You have become a preacher man to the substantive issues and talking about candor and talking about humility. I have been very respectful, but I can assure you, you have not only discounted that if a Supreme Court judge should award a contract, a Chief Justice award a contract to her daughter in the judiciary, award a contract to a man who have started this whole conversation, Afenyo Martins, who want the whole world to believe that he is a one man that is clean, but yet can invoke the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court within 2 hours. You are not afraid that it occurred under your tenure? You are not afraid that you can move the Supreme Court to constitute within 2 hours, and that another political party is seeking to serve and to invoke the Supreme Court to hear it, and it took days. You are not worried about that? You are not worried about that? These are the things that contributed to the mistrust. And I'm saying that we don't have the same situation now. discount and disagree that you don't have confidence in the judiciary today. State it now and then.
Mustapha,
that you don't trust the judiciary.
Mustapha, if I may come in, so what really has changed? Because when the NDC was in opposition just last year, we heard the NDC talk about the lack of trust in the judiciary, and now you say that there's a big trust back in the judiciary. Can you tell us what really has changed?
Leadership. I'm saying that Mr. Frank Davis is a lawyer, senior lawyer, respected for that matter. He knows that it was impossible for an individual to invoke the Supreme Court, respected judges, within 2 hours. It was a fearful thing that occurred in this country. He knows that. He knew when the NDC was looking for the same Chief Justice to serve her, and she ran away to Cape Coast, only to ensure that the NDC could not serve. Ghanaians were watching. Am I the one, when they are doing, polls and surveys, do they talk to NDC people? If you speak to Mustapha Gbande, I will tell you on any day that I didn't have confidence in Justice Torkornoo. And I'll tell you today, state it now,
right,
that you don't have confidence in the judiciary. I have never come here to attack judges. I have come to speak about my mistrust for the leadership of Justice Torkornoo, and I will say it today. Let Mr. Frank Davis state that he have not got any confidence in the judges within the judiciary. That is what his General Secretary sought to say. He didn't talk about the Chief Justice. He said the judiciary and the judges, and to even talk about a High Court judge who have gave a judgment in a parliamentary election matter because they disagree. It means that judges are running away to MPP headquarters and telling their General Secretary that they are in fear to give justice. I mean, is that what we want to? Is that a conversation we want to advance as intellectuals?
Mr. Frank Davis, does the MPP still have trust in the judiciary?
Please, it is for me to speak on my own behalf. You called me to speak on a commentary which has been made by the General Secretary. And Mustapha Gbande, you are not the one.
You are detracting yourself from the comments of your
Mustapha, respectfully, if you may.
He should get his General Secretary to retract that
statement. Let Frank Davis respond. He was very quiet when you were speaking.
Okay? Stop listening and just quiet. You are not the one asked me say whether I'm judiciary or not. I'm a state lawyer. I am a state lawyer. Just type. So I don't ask commentary on the judiciary. Okay? I have had confidence in the judiciary before, and I have confidence in the judiciary now. So don't go around saying the kinds of things you are saying and make me very upset with you. I've been very, very quiet, listen to you. So be quiet and listen to me. I don't run commentary about justice, okay? When a judge has given a judgment and you have a problem with the judgment, you are allowed to critique, all right? If my General Secretary said that the MPP is dissatisfied with the judgment because the petitioner went to court with 42 polling stations, and the judge has ordered for a rerun of the 152 polling stations. And for that matter, we are dissatisfied. It is like...
No, he didn't say that.
Excuse me.
He didn't say you are dissatisfied. He didn't say that.
And let's be talk. Let's be quiet.
No, but you can't window dress.
You are not the moderator.
Mustapha Gbande.
No, you are not the moderator.
Mustapha Gbande, I will give you time.
I said you are not the moderator.
Mustapha Gbande, I will give you the time to respond to whatever Mr. Frank Davis is saying. So respectfully, if you can remain silent, because he was very quiet when you were making your submission, you will have the time to also respond to that. Mr. Frank Davis, you have the floor now.
Mustapha Gbande, I have been where you are before, so stop these things you are doing. It doesn't help you. Now, the matter is in court. For me, the matter is in the court of appeal. Okay? So let it the court of appeal to determine subsequently what the law. Now, if my deputy in his opinion saying that judges think so, and judges are not running up the dictates of the law, that is his opinion, and he's entitled to his opinion. First, he's also a trained lawyer, okay?
Yes.
So I will not pick words out of what my General Secretary has said to comment on radio. No, I have told you that once upon a time, these same people who are now saying that they have trust in the judiciary, they didn't have an iota of trust in the judiciary. Justice Bafoboni, who is now the Justice of the Supreme Court, was a Justice in the Supreme Court when Torkornoo was the Chief Justice. All the justices on the Supreme Court, those who were empaneled, which is his beef, those who were empaneled to sit on that famous Speaker of Parliament matter, are also in the Supreme Court now. If a case is in the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice empanels the court to sit, the court has sat. It is as simple as that. Whether it took 24 hours, it took 2 days, it took an hour, the panel has been lawfully constituted and the justices have sat and determined the matter. It is not being said that there was no representation from the other side. There was representation. So if you are minded to complain about the empaneling, that is another matter. That is squarely another matter. And I don't think I want to be involved in that conversation. But I want to be corrected because I'll ask Paul Adumotri whether he has said on radio, that on television, that Justice Torkornoo was part of the team of lawyers who represented us in the state. I'll ask Paul Adumotri. Because I don't think for Paul Adumotri is that legally illiterate to make this blunder. So I'll ask it. Because 2013, Justice Torkornoo was not a private lawyer.
Okay.
He couldn't have been in the team of lawyers who represented Nanado in the Supreme Court.
Okay, Frank Davis, let me wrap up with you. I'll come back to you, Mustapha Gbande, but I'm giving you two a minute each for your final words. Mr. Frank Davis, of course, the amendment constitution was outdoor today and also the few legal issues that came. What are your departing words?
Well, I will urge our grassroots supporters to remain very confident, very committed, and very alert to their duties. We are reorganizing this party, and we are telling the NDC that we are coming for them in 2028. But let me say something. See, when political skills change, it means Ghanaians are becoming very discerning. Once upon a time, His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, lost elections by over 1 million votes. Mustapha, your president, our president, John Dramani Mahama lost elections by over 1 million votes. The same thing has happened. The political skills change at any time. Ghanaians are telling us politicians that when we give you the money and you don't do what we want you to do, we will change you. So it should be a lesson to you too.
Right.
And stop gloating, please. Power changes. Political power changes always.
Right.
It is transient. It is not permanent.
Right. Frank Davis is the chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Committee of the Opposition MPP. Mustapha Gbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the governing NDC. Mustapha, you have a minute. Your departing words.
Well, people only learn the hard way, and I'm sure that listening to the commentaries, these are familiar voices when a person is in defeat of reality. There are people who met today to review their constitution. If you are looking for the problem of this country, don't look elsewhere. They together agreed to destroy this country in the last 8 years. I am very confident and happy that this government in the last 9 months have been delivering on its mandate, working closely with the people of Ghana to ensure that we have functioning state institutions, we have enforcement, that all Ghanaians continue to be Ghanaians. Under President Akufo-Addo, it was few classic people who came together to deflate the integrity, the pride of this nation. And those are the people talking today. They are coming back from which NDC? They are only coming together, encouraging the grassroots they left when they were in suits and designer bags. They forgot the grassroots people. They are only encouraging the grassroots today to reassemble, to protect them from, when the laws are coming after them. It is not for the purposes of electioneering. And clearly, we have had this conversation. If you analyze the context of his defense plus what the General Secretary have said, they don't add up. They are not together. It means that the statement they have made at that forum lack any appetite for us to continue to discuss. It should be left where it has been left from that scene. It doesn't convey any sentiment to the people of Ghana. It doesn't reflect any argument that represents the plight of Ghanaians.
Mustapha Gbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, and earlier we heard from Frank Davis with the MPP's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee. Gentlemen, glad you could join us this afternoon. Let's now head to the Oti region, because the Tuesday fire that gutted one room in the boys' dormitory at Kajebi Asato Senior High School and completely razed all belongings to students is said to have affected over 300 students and also led to over 50 students being hospitalized. Although the cause of the fire is said to be unknown, according to preliminary reports from the Fire and Rescue Services cited by Joy News, the fire service itself came to the scene of the fire on personal motorbikes, personal vehicles, and with no firefighting equipment. The regional minister, John Kwejo Japon, who also visited the school, assured of working to get a fire tender back to the district. Here's a wrap of what happened from our regional correspondent, Peter Senu.
Which is believed to have started early hours of Tuesday morning, razed down one of the rooms at the boys' dormitory at Kajebi Asato Senior High School in the Kajebi district of the Oti region. The students and teachers took their destinies into their own hands, tried fighting the fire with buckets of water from a distance not less than 5 minutes walk to the dormitory. Water supply to residents on the school premises has also been a perennial challenge. The school lacks basic emergency firefighting equipment, as the only 2 fire extinguishers in the school have no substance in them to even douse a flame from a matchstick. The fire service itself came to the scene on personal motorbikes and vehicles with no firefighting equipment. The fire service personnel, however, joined the students to bring the situation under control. The service has declined on-camera interview, except to say they are investigating the cause of the fire. The male students who initially took charge of the situation were overwhelmed by the heat and the smoke during the initial stages of the fire. Most of them had passed out and had to be rushed to the various health facilities in and around Kajebi district. The official figure put the numbers of distressed students at 50, with those directly affected by the fire in the dormitories at 300. Duty Regional Minister John Kwejo Japon, who later visited the school, mentioned a few projects to be carried out by his government in the school.
Just after the meeting, I heard there was a fire in my school. I heard there was fire outbreak here. And just about that, then the chief executive called me and briefed me about what happened. I decided, let me come and see what is actually the situation, what caused it. And that's why I am here. You know, you were asking whether there's anything for the school. Yes. The tender today was about CASEC. We tried to look for some 2 classroom blocks, 2 classroom blocks of 2-story, and then 2 dormitory blocks for boys and girls for Kajebi Secondary School. So today we were talking about only Kajebi, only to be told later that there is fire outbreak in the school that we were talking about. And I decided to come. I come from KJB. This is my old school. I attended school here. I taught here. And so when I heard that, I decided I don't want to wait. Let me come.
The temporary abandoned boys' accommodation facility, he said, would be completed to prevent the current congestion in the school due to the large numbers of students admitted this year. On the issue of absence of fire tender in the district and the region for that matter, this is what the minister has to say.
If you understand that system, you will be sorry for it. You understand? And agencies like in times like this, they are the first people you have to call and to come and solve and get the situation cleared. But unfortunately, in OT region, our father tenders are all broke. Almost all of them are broken down. I think that we have about only 2 now, and even the 2, it needs maintenance. You understand? Yes, I've written to the prisons, to the fire service authority, and they told us they are working on it. And that as soon as possible. Now that, they will tell you they are waiting for financial clearance and that type of thing. We are happy, the budget has been read. They are talking about budget. And sooner or later, this financial clearance will come to pass. And we hope that a lot of things will be done for us. It is a new region. We came and met a lot of bad things, very bad things. And we need to, work on them gradually, one after the other.
The minister later interacted with students of the school, encouraging them to take their lessons seriously and not tampering with electrical installations in the school. Peter Senu for Joy News.
Let's take you live to the OT region right now to KJB and speak to our resident correspondent, Peter Senu. Peter, what is the health status of the affected students as of this afternoon?
Well, Carlos, as of this afternoon, nothing untoward has been reported. As we have indicated earlier, yesterday they returned to school. There were 50 students who got traumatized and then passed out after the fire, returned to campus. And we've been interacting with the school authorities, but they say they are in stable condition. No adverse reports we have had about them as we speak.
You did mention the last time we spoke to you about them sleeping in other dormitories. Is that where they're still sleeping, or there been some makeshift accommodation that has been provided for them?
Well, at where I mentioned yesterday, the very uncompleted structure. Unfortunately, 2 of the rooms have the net fitted and the door. And so, but they were not the proper door fixed, but the school management, yesterday, I saw a carpenter around who came to fix the doors and then some locks to it. And so currently the place is habitable. Fortunately, the ladies, the girls in the school have had to, as it were, help the boys clear the place and then clean the place for them. And so the place for now is habitable. The boys are occupying there temporarily. And fortunately, to this afternoon, we've had the NADMO director in our midst, and so he led his team, the regional NADMO director, Mr. Dre. He came around to do some donations. So if time will allow, we want to just speak to him briefly on exactly why his mission, the items he came to donate to the school. So let me engage him briefly, and then we hear from him. So you have been here to make some donations to the school. Quickly tell us what items you came to present to the school, and then we can take it from there.
Thank you very much. This afternoon, we presented roofing sheets for the school to be reshaped. And we brought some roofing sheets and mosquito nets, mosquito coil, plates, and some cups and blankets for the students to be using for now. But with my observation on the ground, I can see that truly the students have gone through a lot. And I spoke to the headmaster, and they talked to the counseling aides in the school, and even bring more counselors into the school to talk to the students.
So I was going to ask you, you were saying, advocating that they should be talking to them, counseling session for the students. Why are you saying so?
Yeah, when we got there, you are there with me. You can see that how they even receive the items. They are happy seeing us giving them some relief items this afternoon. But I can see that the things that they have lost is precious to them. Their goods. Yeah.
So that's our resident correspondent in the OT region, Peter Senu, bringing us situational reports. Let's now bring in the OT Regional Minister John Kojo Japan, who is joining us via Zoom. Minister, thank you for your time this afternoon. Your plans on the way towards a permanent solution to this issue. Tell us about it.
My brother, You heard I was at the secondary school yesterday, and I saw everything for myself. I've spoken to the headmaster to quickly inform the old students and the board chairman about the situation, and we will have to come and play our role. I've asked that the chairman, the headmaster, looks for a carpenter to quickly come and assess the cost of the damage. Look for electrician also to come and look at the cost of the damage, so that as soon as possible, something is done about it. We don't have to wait until the rains come. And if you allow the rains to come after this, before we want to do any repairs, it will be too much for us to handle, and it will take time and waste, a lot of time for us. So I think that as soon as possible, we'll tackle the repairs of the damaged dormitories. We'll do that immediately.
Our correspondent tells us that the affected students are sleeping in a makeshift accommodation, which is an uncompleted building. Of course, obviously, it doesn't appear that it is safe. How long are they going to continue sleeping there?
Yeah, that will not be too long. But let me be very frank with you. This is a structure that was built and was almost completed. To be frank with you, to be almost completed, except the netting and the doors, And for me, yes, we won't say that because we have that uncompleted building, they won't do anything with the main one. We'll do what we can as soon as possible. I've asked the headmaster to call the contractor to come on site immediately so that he can finish that place, whilst we also think about repairing the damaged dormitory.
John Kojo, Japan, thank you very much. That's the OT Regional Minister. In other stories this afternoon, the much-debated ratification of the controversial lithium mining agreement between Ghana and the Barari DV is expected to face further delays as the government pursues changes to the law on royalties. Under the current agreement before Parliament, the state is set to receive 5% in royalties, a share widely criticized by CSOs and other groups. Lands and Natural Resources Minister Emmanuel Amakovibua told journalists at a news conference earlier that government will introduce legislation to secure a significant increase in royalties for the Republic.
Technically speaking, what you could refer to was the original one, which says that 5%. I'm very happy to inform you that we've worked closely with the Attorney General. We'll be coming to, once we finish with Cabinet, we'll be coming to Parliament with a new instrument that will permanently lay a complete, comprehensive guideline on royalties, not only in the lithium sector, but in all minerals. It's very important we do so, having learned lessons as we go forward. Learn lessons. It was very clear, for example, not too long ago, the announce of gold was what? 1,900, 2,500, went over 3,000 and close to 4,000. There's no other mechanism for you to do any adjustment, for example. And so I thought this is the opportunity for us to basically review all of that. And so to balance this objective, the government is proposing a lawful sliding scale royalty mechanism. This structure is designed to safeguard investment and jobs while maintaining a competitive base royalty during periods of low prices. That's ensuring the project's viability. So concurrently, it serves to maximize the national benefit by automatically increasing the royalty rate when lithium prices exceed an agreed upon threshold, ensuring Ghana secures a greater share of the value during market upswings. This approach is not succession, but a strategic tool to prevent the project from stalling while guaranteeing the nation gains a fair share of the value when market conditions improve. And there has been a lot of argument. Some people were arguing that when we negotiated a price at $3,000, the royalty was at 10%. I can tell you that what the sliding scale we are doing here is going to probably ensure even a more beneficial approach, because we foresee, for example, that at $3,000, we are not only going to achieve the 10% royalty as has been negotiated, but we are also putting in mechanisms that when the prices go beyond 3,000, we'll go beyond 10%.
That's the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa. And our resident Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante, was at this particular press conference and joins me on Zoom with more. Kweku, the minister says government is still open to the idea of state-led utilization of the resources. Tell us why.
What we have had over the past few years, we've had a very static approach to the determination of royalties. If you look at Act 703, Act 794, and Act 900, which is in force now, it has an option for prescription, and that has not been done by any minister. That is what the Lands and Natural Resources Minister now, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa, is seeking to do, which will actually be a very dynamic approach towards dealing with the royalties that will be gotten. So, despite what is in the current law, what the minister is seeking to do now is to get a very dynamic rate where whenever the prices are going up on the international market, Ghana is actually getting more. And so, unlike the current legislation and other things that gets a very static approach in terms of determination of the royalties, the minister is actually doing what the law says and introducing legislation that will ensure that this country gets a lot more from its royalties. And the minister is explaining that, you know, John Dramani Mahama was big about resource ownership. As far as he is concerned, the NDC is really much open to ideas that even in improving the current deal that they've put before Parliament, they are always open to the idea. And if any Ghanaian businesses are out there, they have good ideas in terms of how the country can exact more from our current deal and our current resources. They are open to doing that. Listen to the minister on this call.
And in fact, President Mahama is open to anything that will get Ghana to win. This is the government that has been preaching empowerment of the Ghanaian. This is the government that simply signaled that the times when Ghanaians were at the back of the bus is over, and that Ghanaians now can't drive, especially in the mining sector. That is why we are saying that we now can really nurture big Ghanaian companies, not only to be ordinary contractors in industries, but to own large-scale mining companies and push. We are the ones that are setting that example. We'll be excited. Let the Ghanaians with the capacity come forward with those proposals. I will support it.
So with this ratification set to delay, is the government under any pressure to get this over the finish line?
Well, the minister, in fact, has been meeting stakeholders, he's been meeting chiefs, traditional leaders, all whose voice matter in this matter, in terms of getting to get more from the Ghanaian people in terms of what exactly the expectation is when it comes to some of these matters. And so they are very much open to some of these ideas. And the government is not in a rush to do a deal just for doing a deal's sake, and that is why they keep talking. And so the minister says, ultimately, what they are doing is to ensure that the country gets proper value for the resources that are currently under the ground, and they are under no pressure whatsoever. And that Parliament is actually seized with the matter now. Parliament will have to be meeting stakeholders. They will decide what to do before ultimately a ratification is done. But his focus now is to get the proper legislation to Parliament, and ultimately when Cabinet approves it, they'll get a very comprehensive scale which will inure to the benefits of the country.
Once the agreement is in Parliament, it is really in the custody of Parliament. And I'm very happy to know that as fifth-term member of Parliament, I know the workings of Parliament. I know that this committee is going to do a very thorough job. They have a long journey. I know they've lined up engagement with key stakeholders, including CSOs, including the chiefs, including the community. I believe they are going to basically also start this engagement, this journey. Today, for example, I know they are meeting some of the chiefs from Mankesim, this committee. So it's something that they are going to welcome. So we are working on a parallel path, and I believe we'll converge. And ultimately, this is what I'm saying, by the time we finish, weeks, I have already finished as I said, we already have the draft. We have the drafters who have really informed us that they will be able to get it to us by today. We'll continue the engagement once we have it. And then I'm finally going to take it to Cabinet, get Cabinet to look at it. I've already had a preliminary engagement with key stakeholders even before we started the journey.
I have Kweku Asante on the line with me. Kweku, you are currently in Parliament as we speak. What is happening there?
Well, there's a lot of work being done currently regarding the various estimates of the ministries, departments, and agencies. The Fisheries Ministry just got hoping some approved for them. The Attorney General's Department is coming in. They're going to get a lot of that. Between now and almost the end of December, when these matters are dealt with, there's going to be a lot of MDA's estimates that are going to be dealt with, and that is what is being dealt with until the House goes on break.
Kweku Asante is our resident correspondent in Parliament. Thank you. You're still watching The Pulse here on Joy News. We return from this break with more stories. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back to The Pulse. The Parliament's Energy Committee has bemoaned a recent increase in tariffs by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, insisting Ghanaians rather deserve a reduction. PURC on Tuesday announced that electricity tariffs for all customers categories will rise by 9.86%, while water increases by 15.92%. Well, the PRC says this decision follows months of investment hearings, stakeholder consultations, and regional public forums held across the country as part of the regulatory process. But Deputy Ranking Member on the Energy Committee of Parliament, Collins Adumako-Mensah, believes Ghanaians rather deserve a reduction.
Yesterday, we woke up to hear that they've gone ahead to increase electricity by how much? Electricity has gone up by 8.86, and then water has gone up by 15.92%. Now, I've taken my time to read the release. Now, and this morning I've had the chance to speak to some officials of PURC. This particular increment is to take care of capital expenditure and some aspect of operational expenditures. So this ECG increment of 9.something% is just to deal with the utilities capital requirements for the period 2025 to 2029 or 2030. Yes, what this means is that between this period, they are not coming back to us to request for another increment in tariff to take off capital expenditure. However, if you read the release, Ghanaians should brace themselves because this has nothing to do with the quarterly adjustment. Indeed, by March, depending on the economic factors, we should expect another increment. So this has nothing to do with the quarterly adjustment that takes place every quarter. This is just the major one that we do every 3 to 5 years, and normally to take care of major capital expenditures. If you read the statement from PURC, they talk about mini grids, off-site areas where it's very difficult to reach. Government is rolling out, and in the budget they did indicate that they are rolling out some mini grids installations in some hard-to-reach areas. This increment is going to take care of that and other capital expenditures. So yes, ordinarily, any Ghanaian will not be excited about an increment in tariffs. But I am comforted that it was not the 200 and something% that the utility agencies were requesting for. We have always advocated that when you request for an increase, Ghanaians should see a commensurate level of service with this increment. So I'm hoping that ECG services will improve, VRA services will improve, and all the other utility agents, Ghana Water services should improve. In fact, when we met PURC, Ghana Water is under major stress with Galamsey. They showed us videos of how bad the Galamsey menace is contributing to an increase in the expenditures that they have. So by and large, as a minority, we are not too excited about any increment. But I'm just hoping that the quarterly adjustment that will come to add up to this major adjustment will not cause too much harm to the Ghanaian people.
So how much really are you going to pay? We want to give you a pictorial analysis of how much you're likely to pay considering these new increases in water and electricity. And of course, we are showing you the big numbers that we've been projecting. And it is that electricity is going up by 9.36% increase across all categories of consumers or customers. And with water, we are seeing an increase of 15.92% increase across all customer classes. So this is how much you are going to pay. We're going to compare the existing price with the new price, which will come into effect very soon. With Lifeline consumers, if you used to pay 80 Ghana pesos for electricity, now you're going to have to pay 88 Ghana pesos when this new increment comes into effect. And with others, also between 0 to 300 kilowatts, you're going to have to pay 1 cedi, or if you used to pay 1 cedi, 82 pesos, now you're going to pay 2 Ghana cedis. Now, above 300 kilowatts, you're going to pay 2 cedis, 25 pesos, if you used to pay 2 cedis and 4 pesos. How about water? For residential, the category is here, and if you used to pay 5 cedis, 28 pesos, you're now going to have to pay 6 cedis, 12 pesos. And with others, if you used to pay 9 cedis, 34 pesos, you are now going to pay the new price of 10 cedis, 83 pesos, if the tariff adjustment kicks in. Now, for non-residential consumers, if you used to pay 15 cedis, 81 pesos, you are going to pay 18 cedis, 33 pesos. And these are the figures when you decide to add the over 8 or over 9% increase in electricity and the 15% increase in water. So what was considered? These are the factors that were considered. The cost of fuel, they say, has gone up. The exchange rate keeps fluctuating. Inflation rate also, although it has come up or it has gone down, and the system losses. So these were the 4 major factors that were considered before this tariff adjustment was concluded. And also we have, for water, the production and sales volume. That was considered. System losses was also considered. And just like was considered for electricity, exchange rate and inflation rate were all considered. So these are the 4 major factors that were considered for water before that 15% tariff adjustment was reached. And the same was considered for electricity before that 9% adjustment was reached as well. So you now have a bit of an understanding of how much you are going to pay depending on how much you consume when the new tariff adjustment comes to effect. So it's a good time to bring in the managing director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Julius Pekpena. Grateful for your time this evening. What has necessitated this tariff adjustment?
Hello.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, so thank you for the opportunity, but let me correct, I'm not the managing director for Electricity Company of Ghana. I'm the acting deputy managing director for commercial services.
Okay.
And the name is Ebenezer Baden.
Thank you.
Okay. So I've been listening closely at the analysis you are doing, and the first thing to say is that the parameters you have put there are not the parameters that were put in the publication. The publication talks about the investment requirements of the utilities. Now, for macroeconomic factors as inflation, and then also
Go ahead, Ebenezer on the line.
It's important to clarify this. Quarterly reviews looks at only the macroeconomic variable. Some major structural issues that have come up, including, for example, the mini grids that was described. So it's just to mention to you that its main investments to address capex, new substations, new lines. As we came to customers, we have spoken about. We had gone to borrow funds to do investments, major projects, which we see today on ground, for which we are using to deliver services to customers. And then based on these, the loans that we've taken, there was need to pay for them. So we came to our customers and the regulator to ask for some adjustment.
And are you certain that these new adjustments can cover the costs and losses? Hello, can you hear me?
Early days to say, but it's early days to say, but what we are trying to do.
Hello, Ebenezer, can you hear me? Right, we seem to be having challenges with Ebenezer from the Electricity Company of Ghana. But really, he's been giving us an overview of the reasons why they decided to increase electricity by 9.86%. And of course, as you are aware right now, also water is also going to be increased by 15.92% effective January 2026. And we've been running the figures for you. If you used to pay a certain amount, obviously, bear in mind that you are going to see increases of 9.86% in your electricity tariffs and also 15.92% in your water as well. So let's refresh the minds of our viewers. So these are the big numbers that we're dealing with. Electricity is going up by 9.36% across all category of consumers. With water also, we are seeing an increase of 15.92% across all categories of consumers. And this is it. If you used to pay 80 pesos for electricity, when the new tariff adjustment kicks in, you are going to have to pay 88 pesos. If you used to pay 1 cedi, 82 pesos, you're going to have to pay 2 Ghana cedis when the new tariff kicks in. And if you used to pay 300, if you used to consume 300 kilowatts of electricity and above, you were paying 2 Ghana cedis and 4 pesos. You're now going to have to pay 2 Ghana cedis, 25 pesos. Let's try to reconnect with Ebenezer and see if the line is any better now. We lost you along the line. I was asking if these new adjustments that you have put in place are going to be effective to cover your losses that you've incurred.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes.
Yes, so what I say is that we are in sort of sessions with the PURC, trying to understand in detail the parameters, all the projects, the costs that were considered and all. And then based on that, we should be able to now come out clearly with answers to what you have said. But we know that we should be able to recover our costs of that we have incurred so far by way of investments and also empower ourselves to do more for customers.
Was this the initial adjustment that you wanted, the percentage?
Okay, so if you study our proposal, ECG was looking at the distribution service charge only. And for that matter, we had spoken about a 2.25% increase. Now, we said we needed a structural shift on the distribution service charge. Now, what has been announced covers both the distribution service charge, the transmission service charge, and then the bulk generation charge, which is what the customer pays at the end. So when you put all proposals together, both generators, Gridco, and then ECG and Netco, the total application that was, or the total amount that was put before the regulator was about 46% increase. And then today we are seeing a 9.8% increase. Now, within the proposals, we also have mentioned that government of Ghana had commissioned teams, of which I'm part, to renegotiate the power production cost or power purchase agreements. Now, these have brought serious gains to the table, and for that matter, about 65 to 70% of the cost that customers pay, government has sought to renegotiate them downwards. So there are different shifts in the structure, and we also still have to engage PURC to understand where generation is going, transmission and distribution numbers are going.
Let's talk about leakages, especially illegal connection, which is obviously a bigger issue, which is bothering your institution. But people have always wondered how you plan to tackle these issues, these leakages in your system. Do you think that you can do that alone by tariff adjustment, or are there any measures that you want to put in place to seal these leakages?
So I will have to clarify this. We are not curbing leakages by tariff adjustments. What we do is that we try to separate it into the technical and then the commercial losses. Now, the technical losses, we try to plan, model the network, also do simulations that will help us know where the losses are, and then put in investments that are required to address technical losses. Today, technical losses are coming down significantly, and we foresee that we are going to drop it even further. Now, commercial losses, that has to do with theft, illegal connections, and all. We are patrolling our meters all the time. We have teams that are going around, different teams from various sources that are going around trying to monitor and even check what our employees are doing on the field to be able to address commercial losses. Today, we've been able to unearth a lot of meter bypasses, which are recovering some revenues back to the ECG revenue portfolio. So we will intensify these. We'll make sure that we are monitoring and patrolling the networks effectively, and therefore ensure that.
Speaking of the commercial part, we also know so many state institutions which are owing ECG huge sums of money, millions and millions of Ghana cedis. How far with that? How are you recouping that?
Our revenue collection drive, today we are on the field doing revenue collection, massive revenue collection. And most of these large institutions have been visited. We've been able to curtail supply to some of them, negotiated, for example, payment plans for them to pay. And as you can see, our revenue collection performance is improving month on month. And we are guaranteeing that we will continue to let it improve or grow over time, so that we can also pay our suppliers upstream and our providers as well. So there's it. Everybody, any customer anywhere will be visited. We will check your bills. We will check the meter integrity. We will check the supply chain, whether you've done some.
Unfortunately, we've lost Ebenezer there, but thank you very much. He's with the Electricity Company of Ghana, giving us some numbers as to the reasons why they decided to seek tariff increment of more than 9%. Let's bring you more stories on the pulse, because Transport Minister Joseph Nikpe has dismissed allegations of unapproved budget spending and unauthorized charges at the airport. Minority Leader Alexander Afenyomarkin, during the approval of the Transport Ministry budget in Parliament, said the ministry had overspent its 2025 budget allocation by more than 9 million Ghana cedis without recourse to parliamentary approval.
If you look at table 3, there is a huge scandal at table 3, paragraph page 6, table 3. A huge scandal. Capital expenditure, 2025 appropriation, what we approved in this house, 83 million. releases 92 million. Somebody must go to jail. Then when you come and see actual expenditure, 92 million, variance, negative 9.4. Somebody must account for this 9.4 million. It is clear that many of you are likely to go to jail. From what I am seeing, Mr. Speaker, just year one alone, only yesterday, you were on us. The slightest mistake, you'll be inviting MPP appointees to go to OSP, to go to NIB. Mr. J. Mensah himself admits by signing this report that there is some chop that has gone on.
Right, and Member of Parliament for Okaikwe Central, Patrick Boama, also raised concerns about the government's plan to increase airport service charge from 5 cedis to as much as 150 Ghana cedis.
Most of our airports, except Kotoka International
Airport passenger service charge from 5 Ghana cedis to 100 cedis per passenger. This, the government is hiding this in the report. The Speaker, 100,000% increase from 1,000% increase from 5 Ghana cedis to 1,200 Ghana cedis per passenger on both domestic and international flights. The Speaker, this is a very serious charge that the country must be made aware of. Mr. Speaker, airport tax, is this the resetting that now you can't even drive on our roads? Flying to has become too expensive. Is that what they promised this country? From 5 Ghana cedis to 100 Ghana cedis.
Let's take you to Nsawam because President John Mahama is on an inspection tour of the Nsawam Road. Let's take you there live.
Expressway, so that for those who want to go very fast, for the trucks, big trucks, that carry heavy cargo, instead of using this stretch, they can use that stretch. Of course, they'll pay a toll to be able to use it. And so, like he said, we've not abandoned this alignment. This alignment will still be available for road users, but we're going to invest in a new expressway that will take people to Kumasi faster than this old one has done. So let me congratulate the consultants and then also congratulate the contractors. And I hope that you continue to push it the way you've done. I'm sure that if you do, we probably will take over the road earlier than you had said in July. So thank you very much.
Your Excellency, I want to hear from the contractor. You said your wish is this completed by April. Doesn't that look feasible?
Come this way.
Yes.
Well, with the outstanding works ahead of us from media on some area, we are actually pushing on the earthworks faster. Okay. I'm sure that just as the President said, when the fuel certificates are on it, the contractor will not stay to finish that time in time. So from the media towards Hebron and then Dobro.
That was done from where you end to Suhum. That place is dualized, but you can see that because of the weight of the trucks, the surface is beginning to wear. So we might have to put a new layer of asphalt over it.
You do the discussion with the minister before.
Right, so that was President John Dramani Mahama inspecting the Ofanko Nsawam Road, and that brings us to the end of the pulse this afternoon. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. We came to you live from our studios at Koko Mlemle in Accra. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Have a good evening.